So Jeffrey Epstein, he may or may not have killed himself. I don't really know or care, to be honest. It doesn't really matter in the context of this. What we do know is that he would bring wealthy people over onto Little St. James, and they would kids, and he would record them doing it. And the reason he did this was A, because him and a lot of his associates were pedophiles, and B, because he wanted leverage on many, many, many wealthy and powerful people. He was an information broker. That was his job. That was how he made his money and his connections. He did favors for powerful people on behalf of other people. He did them against other powerful people. The basic gist of it being that, like, once you were in, there was no way you could reasonably, like, break with the group and do what Epstein didn't want you to do, because he had blackmail on you that would ruin your life if it was leaked. And if you ever threatened to have that information leaked broadly or implicate other people who were there, you would just be disappeared. That's what his job was, you know? It's just mob type shit. And there are versions of stuff like this that have existed all throughout history. Epstein was just the big modern world that we know about. And recently, though they have been riding the conspiracy aggressively for years now, the Trump administration has been trying to get everyone to shut the fuck up about Epstein. There's nothing to see here. Move on. Don't look any further. Trust me, no big deal.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed, because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, we'll check back with you.
So that was Bondi just a few months ago. And as of just 2 days ago, the DOJ has said that Epstein had no client list and no blackmailed associates. They have looked over the treasure trove of information that the FBI got in raiding Little St. James, the enormous amount of information on a person who was so fastidious in keeping records of his contacts that he meticulously noted both the names of people who rode the Lolita Express and ways of contacting him. They got all this information, but it turns out, don't worry guys, that little black book of information, the one that Epstein used to record flight logs, that was it. There was no other information. It turns out if Epstein had gone to trial, he would have been exonerated. What a tragedy that he killed himself in that cell. This is seriously what they're trying to get you to believe. That's not a joke. This is genuinely what they're trying to get you to believe. Obviously, they were never going to actually start releasing this information because, it would implicate a bunch of really powerful, wealthy people, including Donald Trump. So why would they do that? You know, the reason the Biden administration didn't is also because it would implicate a bunch of really powerful, wealthy people. Most pedophiles kill themselves right before being acquitted. Classic mistake. It's laughable how poorly they've handled this. They could have kept riding the ambiguity forever. They could have kept conspiracy baiting indefinitely. They could have, like, every 4 months, Pam Bondi could have gone up in front of the camera and said, we're unearthing new classified information that deep state contacts were not revealing until now. Don't you worry. Like, they could have kept this going forever. Their supporters are actually, like, subhumanly stupid. It would not matter. All they want is, like, more fish food being dropped into the tank. But for some reason, they decided to give up. They decided to give up on it.
That's transparency.
Follow up on that,
sure.
Caroline. Okay, so the FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News.
I've got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat, which has our murder rate trending in the lowest direction in United States history. Their emphasis on violent crime and locking up violent criminals has led to the arrest of 14,000 violent criminals. That's a 62% increase from the same time period last year. So this Attorney General and the FBI Director
She has no confidence here. You can tell she's nervous. Yeah, no, she usually comes across a lot more smug and condescending when asked probing questions. But on this one, she actually looks like she wants to move away from it. Probably because it's like in a laughably stupid, like the idea that you could raid Little St. James and hold all that information for years and years and years and conspiracy bait off the release of that information for years and years and years. And then suddenly you're like, nope, there's nothing. We're not going to release anything that we have, but there's nothing. Trust me. Like, it's pretty, it's not a lot to go off of rhetorically, even for her. She's normally pretty good about it, you know? She's normally pretty good at bullshitting.
Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the staff?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah. They, in an effort to prove that Epstein killed himself and nobody visited the cell, they released the full uncut tape of the outside of his prison cell. But I guess they didn't, like, check it. It's missing a minute. Like, there was a minute period where the feed randomly cuts. It is a missing minute. So I don't know why they released it. Like, they released it to prove that no one got him to, that no one killed him, but then there's a missing minute. Oh, this isn't even of the outside of his cell, it's of the floor below? Okay, nice. They're really bad at this, huh?
Could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
Years and years and years of propagandizing and conspiracy baiting, and the deep state is hiding him, and he's going to root him out, and QAnon thinking that Trump's going to beat back Epstein. And now we reach the final stage of this arc, okay? The conspiracy is no longer of use to us. Who's still talking about that? International sex trafficking ring that likely implicates basically everyone in power, including myself? Nah. We still talking about that lame old shit?
You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this.
So yeah, they could have handled this a lot better. I mean, obviously Trump was raping kids in Little St. James. There's no, if you believe otherwise, you're laughably stupid. A lot of these people, not these people as in people here in the cabinet, I don't think they were, but a lot of people associated with Trump and Epstein definitely were. Look, I'll tell you what's happened, okay? When Epstein's island was raided, the FBI got a cache of information. Because we know that Epstein fastidiously records information, after all, that's the point of blackmailing, right? Like, the whole point of his job was information brokerage. You need to fastidiously record to do that. You know how many ways he had to contact Trump? Epstein had like 9 phone numbers of Trump's, you know? You have to keep records. What else is the point? And when Epstein died, you raid Little St. James, an ungodly amount of information, 14 phone numbers, not 9, thank you. An ungodly amount of information was found. And I'll tell you what happened. The FBI was like, we're not touching this. If you open up investigations, a number of things could happen. We'll probably be killed. And I don't mean that, I'm not saying that in a conspiratorial way. I mean, those are literally the stakes. Historically, that's happened in plenty of instances, usually with mob shit, where you have like a confidant, you have like a trust circle, and if somebody breaks from it, like that person's life is ended. That's like the implicit deal when you get brought in on these when you get brought into these engagements. If you think that applies to the mob, which is relatively low level compared to the people that Epstein worked with, come on, that's how it works there too. So the FBI, either they decided to keep their hands off it or they were given the orders to keep their hands off it, but you don't destroy evidence like that. It's too important in the long run. So they probably kept the physical evidence, not copies of it, but the actual original evidence, the booklets and hard drives and so on, and they put it in a box somewhere underground. There are mountains that we do facility storage for, you know, like physical records of government documents, though you put them down in like mine shafts and stuff, right? Because you want physical hard copies that you can go back to if anything happens to all the digital stuff you're working with up here. But they did not digitally copy this information. So they take all that hard evidence, they put it in a bunker somewhere, and they seal the door tight, and my guess is it's still there. My guess is maybe Pam Bondi asked about it, or maybe they talked, Kash Patel, they talked a little bit. They were like, you know, what can we do? What can we give? And the answer they were given by somebody in the administration was just, leave it alone. No. I bet you what they said was, you need to drop this. Like, rhetorically, you need to drop it. I don't care, like, you're not investigating it for real, but you need to get your base off of it. We do not want the next 100 years of Republican talking points to be oriented around people digging in, because eventually the people who agreed to the original pact will be dead or out of power, and some presidential administration is going to say, you know what? Let's actually look into it. And that will be a problem for us. Yeah, there's too many powerful people involved here, so you need to drop it. Just get people to move past it. And Trump, because he's a idiot and his brain is goo, hears this, and he's asked by a reporter, hey, what's with all this weird, inconsistent Epstein stuff? And Trump says, we're still talking about that? Come on! What? That's yesterday's news. I know it was dropped 8 hours ago. What are you talking about? That's crazy. You want to know about Epstein? You sound crazy right now. And just like obviously indicating that he was briefed prior to this. Sorry, this is BS. I feel they would have destroyed it. What's the point of keeping the evidence? You always keep the evidence. For one, if you destroy it, you can't prove to the people implicated in it that it's been disappeared. You need to keep it somewhere so people know that it hasn't been moved elsewhere. If you say you've destroyed it, who's to say you didn't just move it into your garage? Also, people can use it as leverage. Also, just because it's damning to a lot of people doesn't mean that there isn't information in there that can't be useful to them in the future. How do people who are involved and implicated in that evidence hold each other to account if there's no longer an existing record? They can't keep copies of it after all. If anyone found out that people implicated in the Epstein documents were keeping copies of the documents on themselves, that would mean that if that guy ever got hacked or killed or whatever else, that information could be released publicly in a way they couldn't control. So no one gets to keep copies of it. Why did this only happen now? Well, it didn't. I mean, wealthy people and politicians have been involved in crime syndicates and stuff of this nature for a long time. All this GigaBrain stuff assumes they're even remotely competent. I'm not talking about anything GigaBrain. All I'm saying is that the FBI raided the island, got the evidence, were told to leave it be, and they put it in storage, which is what they do with all the evidence they find. It's not GigaBrain, and it doesn't require any... Is it possible to steal the evidence? What are you talking about, man? Do you have any idea where the FBI keeps its physical evidence? They would put it in the most secure facilities they have, alongside the other stuff that's considered... some, I don't know, we wouldn't call it top secret, I guess. They would just, no, you can't get it. I'm in. Do you think the Epstein files will ever be released in our lifetimes? Nah, probably not. Not unless there's like a transformational change to the government. Something so massive that the new administration and everyone around them were completely disconnected from all power before, which is unlikely.
Where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and
we need to keep calling Republican pedophiles. Well, I will say this, and this is not me trying to be edgy or whatever, but like Democrats need to make this a bigger talking point. Where's the Epstein files? You said you were going to provide the Epstein files. We want them. We want the information too. Where is it? They're not going to, of course, because they're massive posting. In this respect, this is a uniparty.
I'm getting a lot of attention because I said I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK.
She said the client list was on her desk, and now, months later, they're saying there is no client list. Like, none. Literally none. Like, Epstein somehow managed a massive sex trafficking operation and hosted thousands of people on Little St. James with a private jet bringing, like, ferreting them to and from, and somehow there was no client list.
MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
Her voice is shaking.
Meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as.
You hear that? Her voice is shaking.
meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by
I wonder if she got threatened. Probably, yeah. Or at the very least, she understands the gravity of what she's talking about.
that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that.
So he was a child sex trafficker, and he had child porn. That makes sense. That seems like it'd be in line for Jeffrey Epstein. Nothing that implicates other people. You said you have a client list, but you have no client list. He trafficked children to the island, and then he brought adults over to the island. No one else implicated? The reason she's saying it's all CP, I mean, a lot of it is, but she's saying that to basically say that's why we're not releasing it. Like the implication being like, it's not because this implicates so many powerful people, but rather because of the sensitivity of the material. She previously made it sound like it wasn't just CP. Yeah, she said like, yeah, we're going to review the client list, and she didn't notice the file was just like 800,000 .movs or whatever, or .mp4s. Just forgot, just took months to work that one out. She watched every one of those videos back to back. Very thorough investigation, I'm sure. Question, if the files were released or leaked or whatever else, would they really make a big shift politically within the US? Probably not. The person who leaked them would be killed. Probably not. Like, the Panama Papers got released, and it just led to the author being killed, so...
Porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence...
Definitively not conclusive. Do you see how nervous she is? I've seen Pam Bondi talk a lot. You can tell she's nervous. It's kind of weird, right? It's weird that in this case, the shadowy deep state conspiracy narrative is completely correct. She's obviously been given a talking to by somebody. Trump's not intelligent or non-senile enough to orchestrate any of this. Somebody in the government. Trump hasn't moved a muscle since she started talking, though. If there's one thing Trump understands and appreciates, it's loyalty and the importance of keeping certain ties. So I think he would understand. He's not going to blurt this one out.
Prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999.
What the f is she talking about?
Every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's...
Nobody's believing this shit. Alex Jones does.
They got Trump and the DOJ to do this because the public is not buying it. No one is buying it.
Oh, maybe not.
So I never saw any evidence of Trump involved in any of the stuff that came out. It was all fake. The fake Jane Does, all the crap, you know, E. Jean Carroll, the crazy leftist cat lady, all of it. So now, by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm going to go throw up, actually.
As coping, he later said this was a plot from Trump to blackmail the deep state. What I'm hearing from this is that Alex Jones, a world-class bullshitter, was so shocked by the ineptitude of the administration in trying to move people past this conspiracy that even he didn't know how to handle it at first, and it took him a little bit to settle on a new spin, which is pretty funny. New talking point is out. I'm sick of talking about the Epstein list. Obsessing over it for almost a decade now hasn't done a single thing to advance our agenda or help our country. I'm so sick of hearing about Epstein. I'm only going to say this about it, and I'm done. I'm literally going to mute the word Epstein so I don't have to see it anymore. I'm not saying we need to move on from Epstein. I want to see accountability for everything. What I'm saying is that Epstein is not the end-all and be-all defining moment of the Trump presidency like people on here are making it out to be so they can sell you more rage and make money. Conservative movement needs to focus more time, energy, and focus on how Islam's taking over the West. Hi, Charlie Kirk. Hi, Charlie. Is MAGA even buying this? I've seen a lot of people not buy it. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because those files are never, ever, 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 ever going to be released. Like, the Dems also don't want to touch that for the same reason. It's just, I don't know. I guess it's mostly just funny how badly they handled it. Like, what a bad job they did of, like, really riding the conspiracy up until the last second, and then right at the finish line, they're like, oh, never mind. Actually, there's nothing to see here. Literally nothing. Jeffrey Epstein trafficked nobody to Little St. James. He did kill himself. What a mystery. The missing minute? There's always been a missing minute. Yeah, he was going to be exonerated if he had just gone to trial. Elon's back to Epstein posting. Except about Steve Bannon this time, which is also valid. Tucker Carlson does not believe it. Tucker Carlson has already broken with the Trump administration, so it's not surprising that he wouldn't go for it. Now that this is out and this is the worst cover-up ever, things go back to normal, right? Nothing ever changes. Kind of a little bit. I mean, a little bit, yeah. Like, again, I'm sorry, that information is just never going to see the light of day. Also, the information wouldn't satisfy you that much if it did come out. What would you get from that? Wow, a bunch of wealthy people and politicians and well-connected financiers are pedophiles? You already knew that! What you want is prosecutions, which will never happen. Also, at this point, if there was ever a proper trial of Donald Trump, his association with Epstein would just be one of many things he would be. I mean, honestly, like, he would die of old age just getting the list read out. Yeah, well, the people want to know is if Stephen Hawking knew what he was pushed to. Actually, yeah, I do think that is a little more interesting. You know that with people like, I don't know, Dershowitz or Epstein or Bill Clinton, or sorry, like Trump or Bill Clinton or whatever, why they were over there. But there are like, well, what was Chomsky's association? What was Stephen Hawking's? And I think it's important to understand, and I'm being charitable here, okay? But since Epstein was a power broker, like that was his job, you know, it makes sense that he would try to meet with literally as many people as possible who were famous or influential or powerful, and he would probably try to facilitate those meetings no matter what. Like it wasn't as though the sex trafficking was his only tool, right? He also had connections, money, power. He had a huge range of tools. The ones we talk about the most, or the one we talk about the most is the sex trafficking, obviously, but he probably had a bunch of ways of incentivizing. I just don't believe Stephen Hawking was brought to Little St. James to molest children. I mean, I guess it's not impossible. I just don't think. It seems more likely to me that an offer was extended to him, and Stephen Hawking was told, hey, careful about this Epstein guy. And Stephen Hawking said, well, I'm basically the scientist, and he might be able to offer me like grant money, or there's some kind of connection. I don't know. But maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. Didn't Matt Groening say that he was once on the Lolita Express and he got a foot rub and he was really uncomfortable the whole time? So kind of like how a bunch of people went to Diddy parties, but not everyone went to the freak-offs. If you want to draw a contemporary example, I feel like that might be a fair one, but we're talking about a much greater scale here. Whatever you want to go with. But I'm not dying on this hill, okay? Maybe Hawking was a pedo. I have no idea. I've never met the guy. Yeah, disabled people can be sex offenders too, all right? And it's very patronizing to believe otherwise. He cheated on 2 wives. Okay, but being an adulterer doesn't make you a pedophile. That's a different thing. Like there might be a relationship between those, but those are different things, you know? Is it fair to call this the most corrupt administration in history? Probably. And just corruption, like just naked corruption? Yeah, probably. Yeah. This level of corruption at any other point in American history probably would have been like it would have been politically unviable. Yeah, in American history, not in all history.